Ed Flanagan gave 3 readings to the group. Ed had once been a Catholic priest serving in the Far East. At this gathering, he read from a new book by David Fenster titled Mehera Meher, A Divine Romance, which gives new details about Baba's accident. Ed's readings are interspersed with the stories of Charmian Duce Knowles. Charmian first met Baba back in 1948 when she and her mother, Murshida Ivy Duce, went to India to see him. In 1952, Charmian was with Baba in Myrtle Beach, and then he called her and Murshida Duce to Oklahoma to help the accident victims. Later, Charmian stayed with Baba in Myrtle Beach and then traveled with him to Europe. She recalled the events leading up to the accident.
Dad arrived finally in Myrtle Beach, and Baba asked him to plan his trip out to the West Coast. So Dad made 2 routes out there. One was a very fast route to go through, which he was going to send Baba's men on. And then one was a scenic route. So he got those to Baba, and initially the Mandalay were going to go through Oklahoma, and then Baba switched it. He decided he would go that route. I felt like there was something wrong with this. I mean, there was just something in it that scared me a lot. So I said, Baba, couldn't I drive you? Not that I didn't think Elizabeth was quite capable and wonderful at driving, but it was just something was wrong. And Baba said, no. I'm very sharply to me, and I was kind of startled. So a few hours went by, and I once again had a chance to say, Baba, couldn't I drive you out to the West Coast? And again, just as sharp as a whip, he came in with that, no, and he had never spoken to me that way even before. So finally, there was a third time when I again tried to get him to let me take him, taking my life in my hands, and I knew it. No way. On the morning of May 24th, he delayed starting from the motel. I'm told he appeared withdrawn, sad, and unusually still.
They crossed the Arkansas River at Fort Smith and entered Oklahoma, where Baba had Elizabeth suddenly stop the car. He told Sarosh to move on, and while he got out and paced up and down the highway for several minutes.
Baba ordered Elizabeth to drive, as he always did with me. Faster, faster. It was a snap of those fingers, and you knew what he meant.
They passed through the town of Prague, barreling westward across rolling countryside. It had rained the night before, and the roads were very slick.
It was around 10:15 in the morning, and Elizabeth saw a car come over the hill on the wrong side of the road. She thought the driver would see them and avoid them. So she slowed down, but the other driver failed to slow. Elizabeth remembers Baba raising his left hand, as we said before, and pointing to the oncoming car as if he was directing events. And I have no doubt whatsoever but what he was. Then the car collided with Baba's car at full speed.
The impact was tremendous. It threw Baba and Mara out of the car and pinned Elizabeth behind the steering wheel. I didn't have time to think about what was wrong with me, Mara stated. I saw both doors on Baba's and Mara's side open, wide open, and knew that they had been flung out. Shaken with the shock and trembling, I managed with effort to get out of the car and immediately went to them. Baba and Mara were much worse off, both lying on the ground near the car by the side of the road. Baba's left leg and arm were fractured, his nose was broken, his tongue cut, and Mara was moaning in pain. And trembling like a leaf, I went over to Baba. He was lying face down in the mud. I tried to lift his head, but my hands wouldn't function. I sat in the mud with my knee bent toward Baba, and with effort raised his head and placed his forehead on my knee, so that he could breathe. I sat there like this till help arrived. Elizabeth's car had landed between two ditches that bordered the driveway of a farmhouse where Stanley J. Muka and his family had lived. Mr. Muka rushed out with blankets to cover the injured, and then stopped a passing car, a couple on their way to the Prague clinic to have a baby. They promised to send an ambulance back to the scene. I remember, Mani continued, before Saroshes came, being on my knees by Baba and Mera, my dress covered with mud and blood, and frantically asking Mr. Muka, but when is the ambulance coming? And him so kindly saying, it's coming, it's coming.